been around for a little while now. But still, you think of those things in those terms, and that's still so, I mean, to me right now, thinking of 35, that's so young. But anyway, that just kind of puts this in context that he is well into his career, but compared to, he just kept going and going. He was actually still fairly young. And that's what's, to me, that's also kind of interesting when you look at these interviews, to think of the fact that he's really not that far removed from Black Sabbath. This is 1984, so you're talking about just a few years earlier was when he left Black Sabbath. I'm the luckiest man alive to be able to do what I do and get away with it. I've become famous by acting in ways that other people may have been arrested for. I love that line. Hit Parader. But it's true that much of what you do is an act. You're not the crazy man that everybody imagines all the time, are you? Ozzy, I couldn't be. I'd go absolutely crazy. I know that during the last tour, I would hang out with Motley Crue in the hotel bars. Those guys are amazing. They're crazy rock and rollers 24 hours a day. They're the same off stage and on. And that actually answers the question I was talking about a minute ago, where, and if you saw The Dirt, I don't know, man. They made Ozzy look way crazier than Motley Crue, but at least from Ozzy's perspective here, Motley Crue is just this wild group of people. And he actually goes on and talks more about that in a minute. I watched them for a while throwing peanuts at people, and I said to my wife, Sharon, I guess I'm getting old. I can't be Ozzy all the time anymore. It's great when people see me sitting in a restaurant and they stare at me like I'm going to do something crazy at any moment. A lot of the time, I don't disappoint them. Again, it's really important to think of these things in context, because the guys in Motley Crue would have been so much younger than him. Ozzy is now 35 years old, and you know what that was like. You start getting into that point, and you're married, and you've got a couple of kids, and even though you have a little bit of that energy left in you, the stuff that you did in your early 20s, there's part of you that goes, I don't know if I really want to participate in that quite the way I used to. Okay. What was the craziest thing that happened on the last tour? I know there weren't any animals killed or bats bitten, but I'm sure there was a fair share of lunacy anyhow. Ozzy, I guess the strangest thing I did was in one place where a group of religious freaks were protesting my appearance. They were saying all the standard crap about me worshiping the devil, and they had organized a picket line outside the arena. I thought to myself that they really didn't know what they were protesting. And on top of that, they probably didn't even know who I was. To prove that point, I made up a sign with a smiling face that said, "Have a nice day." I joined the end of their picket line and they didn't even notice me. That shows you how crazy those people are. Now, I don't know if this happened for sure or not. I didn't look it up to see if there was any other evidence of this happening. But that is a fascinating idea. And how many of you remember that stuff? You'd go to these concerts and you'd have these people out there with the big cross and a megaphone telling everybody not to go in because it was the devil's music. And anyway, just looking back now, it all seems so silly. But at the time, people were really, really serious about it. So anyway, and of course, bands like Ozzy and Iron Maiden and Motley Crue, and there were so many groups. Matter of fact, I think I even saw that out in front of a Journey concert. It was just everywhere. These people protesting this rock music, And so whatever, it was just kind of fascinating stuff. Hit Parader, why does it bother you so much that people have singled you out as the symbol of rock's demonic